You know, it's always, hey, we want an updated version of this document that was at the office versus on the site, but not anything that's a note of violation that turns into any type of enforcement or anything like that.
And something good to remember, this is the water sewer fund that pays for this.
Yep.
And it doesn't have anything to do with property taxes. Property taxes is general fund, so that's street.
We just had a water bill increase, just
Yeah.
so that we
Yeah,
said
and
that we would be good due to that for a while.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And we'll again review that every year during the budgets because, you know, as
But we
more
also-
people come on, more meters, that changes the dynamics of this entire thing.
And we also increased our impact fees too, which takes the burden off the taxpayer
Right.
and puts the burden on the developers that want to be here, so that we are not, to what Mr. Donaldson said, rolling over at every developer. We are, they're paying to play, they're paying to be here, they're paying their portion.
Exactly, and even the development agreements that we have out there is sales tax that helps us pay for that.
Right.
It would have been us paying for it, you know, no matter how we looked at it, but this is a way we finance it without, you know, hitting
Correct.
taxes.
Thank you.
correct.
Do we have anything going on the other 15 acres next to HEB? I understand they bought the Camp 2.
KOA.
Developing that.
We have heard rumors of that, but I have not been part of any pre-development meetings on that additional 15 acres. So we have looked, so immediately adjacent to HEB, the remainder of that side on this side of the creek, that has gone through feasibility and they're working through their development plans. Their first piece, because it also includes the hard corner, is a Wells Fargo, I believe. But the rest of it, they're still working through. I've heard rumors, but we have not, I have not had any direct discussions about the KOA.
And then administration, we've had conversations with them about annexing into the city, so there is interest there. We don't know yet, but it's all, you know, ideas currently.
Well, it's Lowe's, you haven't heard that?
No, it's not Lowe's. That's what I got this morning. I'm like, actually, Lowe's is not going there. They're coming, but they're not going there. They're not buying it.
That's what I heard too, and also another one that was asked too, that there's a data journey that is just off a Club Drive on 2854.
No, it's a data center, and that's the bunker that's been here for 50 years. And they are self-sustaining on their own water well, and they're not in the city limits anyway.
That's exactly, I didn't think that that was city limits when it
It's
went
not.
down to.
It's not. So, and it was pre-existing as well, and it's pretty, the way that building is built, I don't know what expansion would look like. I think it would probably be way more expensive because it was overbuilt when it was built anyway. But I do know they have their own well, and they also keep huge pool available that they use that water to recirculate to their data center.
Yeah, because they were asking about how that's gonna impact AI and things. I haven't heard that talk about.
Well, and AI data centers are concerning to a degree when, yeah, because with animals and all of that around there, yes. But we don't have that problem.
Well, actually, it's not our problem to have, so.
Well, not in our city limits.
It's not our city.
So we were supposed to get an elevated water tower. Is that the number 4 you're talking about that's gonna be on the west side? Okay.
So at water plant number 4, yes, it's on the hard corner of Old Dobbin Plantersville and Old Plantersville Road. That's the water plant number 4 site. So again, this isn't a rash decision. The city originally acquired property for this with the Hills of Town Creek development back in I don't remember the exact year, pre-2012, around that timeline, 2014. And then when the Briarly development came forward, that was part of the development agreement, because instead of having it right in the middle of that neighborhood, putting it on the corner to be further out and more centrally located, that was part of the long-term plan of the city.
So what year is that going up?
So what you're saying is we can sell the property then in the Hills of Town Creek?
Correct. I mean, it's additional property right now. It is in the city's
Bet you
name.
the HOA would like to buy it though, since it's right in the guy's HOA.
We can sell it.
About what? Oh, 1 acre?
Yeah, 1 acre.
How much
Or to a developer to put a house
Yeah,
on or
go.
something like that, yeah.
That's right.
are we selling for? We're gonna sell?
I don't know.
No market, we could roll it over to the MS and let them sell it. So they can put it on the market.
What do they want it for, did they say?
That used to be where the water well was,
Yeah,
and then we
right.
moved it. So then, now it's blank, and Casey's saying, let's just sell it to liquidate
Yeah.
our assets, because we don't need it, unless we want to make it a dog park, which
Well,
somebody had suggested.
I think I did mention it to them one time. Suggested.
Somebody put the dog park in beside the city.
We charge admission. Or parking.
Sell it to NBC and let them put it on the internet.
And there's gonna be a poop scoop duty. Say that again?
I said, we sell it to NBC and let them retail it, get the most money for it.
Yeah.
Get it gone.
Okay, sorry.
Sure thing.
Divert.
So before I get into what's next, any questions on where we have been, what's been completed, funded, et cetera?
Downtown, we updated the sewer, we did not update the water. Or we updated the water and we did not update the sewer.
So we updated, so part of that 15,000 feet was updating the sewer.
Sewer,
The
okay.
water line
That's
replacement
right.
is part of the McCowan Street improvements.
Okay,
So replacing that section at least. There's not historically been a bunch of water line breaks, so a lot of the main trunk lines through the city have been replaced. So the lines that go through downtown, obviously those are the oldest lines in the city. It is in the long-term plan to continue to replace those, but it's kind of one of those things of we track the number of breaks and repairs that are being made, and if the lines are functioning and we're not having repeated breaks or seeing kind of recurring issues, it's something that, again, there's other things to do. Okay. All right. So now that brings us to kind of what's coming and what's next. And so we'll just kind of going through your packet, you have a handful of exhibits that just show locations of projects. I'll refer to those. But really what I spend our time on is this large sheet here. And we are not going line by line. We will give the overview, really talk about what's happened, the big ticket items that are on this list, and ultimately how this works and functions, as well as where the dollars come from. So just to be to the punch, because I know you've already added it all up at the end. So when you add up everything on this list, that includes your active projects today, that includes the developer-funded projects, that includes new roadways that we'll talk about. There's approximately $134 million worth of improvements on this list over the next 15 years. That includes.
where is that number? Is that at the very back?
So if you, at the very back page, and I realized that after we printed these, I didn't mark off page numbers, so I do apologize. Second to last page, I don't have a total, but it's an annual total for each one. And again, that's one of the things that we'll send out to y'all as a quick snapshot summary of this. I just want to go through the details. But if you add up, so if you look at the last line, this is total annual cost all projects. If you add up all of those, is where you get the 134.
Got it, okay.
So that is everything. That includes developer-funded projects, projects already funded. This is just anything that the project isn't complete between now and the next 15 years.
So the 134 million, though, like you said, it includes developer funded, so that would mean that the 134 is not all on the city's dime.
100%. So and this is one of the things that Mary Ann asked us to provide a quick summary, just kind of a one snapshot box. So I'll throw out the numbers just for sake of conversation, but I'll send it to you after this. So of your 134, 41 million is already funded or accounted for.
41 million, that's that 2026 number right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are all the projects in 2026, which is the largest year that you have, are funded and accounted for. So of your 134, 41 million comes off because that's already been accounted for. When the other thing, kind of a handful of important things, there's a lot of roadway projects in this that y'all haven't had before. New roadways, more extensive repavings, widenings, things like that. The roadway portion by itself accounts for an additional $42 million. So that's 80 of your 130 is between already funded and roadway projects, which a lot of those big numbers being new roadways. So
The 42, though, with the roads, none of that's included in the 41?
there are some, so I'll tell you that number without it. So without the ones in the 41, It's 36.
There you
So really 36 is funded. No,
go. 36 is.
No, the 41 still is, but of the transportation, so we're not double counting.
okay, got it. Oh,
to
okay,
Casey's
the
point.
transportation.
So it's 41 funded, additional 36 in roadway projects that are expansions and widenings and things like that. And then, again, this is inclusive, no, I just delete this out here, so I'll make you, hold on. Then on your list, you have an additional 40 million, so 39.7, that is all expansion. So expansion of plants, expansion of lines, that is all based on development and growth. So we had the 41 million that's funded, you have your 36 million in transportation cost, you have your 40 million, again, trying to use round numbers, that is growth dependent, new expansions that aren't funded, or new expansions that aren't yet here because of growth. So 110 of your 135 are either funded or really growth and development related.
What's the other 20?
So that is your, those are rehabs. So those are repairing your facilities, replacing water lines, maintenance, operational items, things like that. And some of the capital projects that the city, we would recommend the city eventually do regardless of development. So for an example, a water line loop on the north side of town, ideally developer comes in, he completes that like all the other ones done. We get down the road, we could say, hey, we really want the redundancy, let's go ahead and put that water line loop in. It's also an economic driver, so that could be a MEDC expense along with new roadways. Those are those types of projects that have a benefit regardless of development and growth.
But the idea is for assistance.
Correct. The idea has always been, and continue like the city has done, is get those agreements, partner with developers, have them funded, and through financing agreements, et cetera, the city's able to pay for that infrastructure and not be issuing debt on their own to do that.
So if my math said we have 24 million that's not funded,
Over the next 15 years.
We have 90 million roughly.
Right.
That's not funded?
That's not funded.
93 million.
Yeah, roughly.
Correct. If you did everything on this list, that is correct.
So if you just take the 41 out of 134, that leaves you with non-funded stuff.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, well, all right.
And that supplemental that's coming, I think will help you with that, because you can look at impact fees, developer fee, you know, all of that. It's not all on the city. We'll finance this, you know, many different ways. And depending on growth and how fast it comes, that will determine whether it happens this year, the next year. You know, this is all estimating out, so at least you have something to look at.
The transportation, right, best case scenario is 50%, right?
Correct.
50% is best case scenario that we'll get out of a development. On the expansion, that's a different story. We could get a lot more out of the expansion from the development.
The traditional that the city has done is when it especially comes to line expansions, those are done by developer. The city might pay or has paid the upcharge. So if developer needs a 10, city wants a 12, they'll pay that $10 a foot, you know, minor upcharge, but it still puts the majority of the burden. And a lot of, and we'll go through each individual section because transportation has kind of the most to talk about. The rest are relatively routine, but if you want, I'll just kind of start at the top with the water plants and run through the general, what the items are, and then we'll go through in detail on the 3 million.
And that's being fairly conservative.
All right, so starting back on the first kind of table page. So how this document's set up when you want to fall asleep is it's by your major facilities. So each water plant has a section, each sewer plant has a section, your lift stations, water lines, sewer system, drainage system, and roadways. So they're all broken up and there's totals for each of those so you can pull them out. what is covered in these, and there's a bunch of footnotes at the bottom, so this covers your major assets at each of those facilities. Things like small pumps and motors, booster pumps, et cetera, that are operator, repair, replace items as they come up, those are excluded from here because those are just part of the normal operations budget. But the larger, the bid out projects, those are what are generally included on this plan. So at water plant number 2, for example, you have your existing tank, and then the next item down is a proposed tank. So that's new construction versus what you already have. For your existing tanks, we plan for recoating those facilities every 10 years or so. You inspect them annually, or we inspect them annually on your behalf. We come up with repairs. If we start seeing signs of coating failure, we will bring that up to you and recommend the recoat. If the coatings are in good shape, we will recommend pushing that until the coatings are at that point. And that is the same thing for most of the items that are on your list. Your recoats, your replacements are the same things. You have some tanks that are installed in 2002. We expect a 30-year life. But again, if we're seeing that the metal thickness hasn't degraded, that you're not having issues with the tank, we're going to keep on doing that. That's why you do the recoats. So we continue to recoat the tanks to protect the metal, to continue to do that. And then at some point in time, we'll say, hey, it's not worth recoating this anymore. Let's let it run to failure while we plan for the replacement and not spend more money taking care of an asset that's not worth it.
And that recoat you have here is worth $75,000. That's not
Correct.
millions.
Correct.
Okay.
No. Your next big items at your water plants are obviously your water wells themselves. So wells, we have a life expectancy of 50 or so years. So at water plant number 2, that one was just drilled last year, so we're fine. But rework about this one has 12 years for the first one, 7 to 10 years after that. So that's about a $250,000 cost. That's taking it all down, cleaning the screens, repairing the screens, replacing pumps, piping, et cetera. How you know that it's time to do that? So biannually, the city does what's called a GM services report. They will go and run a performance test on the well. They will check for vibration. They'll check for solids that are showing up out of what the well is producing. They will check for the capacity based off its design capacity and its efficiency. And so they do that biannually. They provide that data to the city, so we're able to track if we start seeing decreases in performance or signs of brass or signs of high solids or things like that. That's when we would recommend a replace or a rework. That is typically something that you see over time get worse. It's not a immediate failure, right? And it's typical to rework water wells. Just things.
I'm sorry, you said their life expectancy was 15 years? 50.
The well itself for replacement, 50 plus.
Yeah.
The reworks on this one specific, we say 12 years because it's number 1. It just was installed. But once you start reworking them, you kind of still get into a cycle of 7 to 10 years, depending on the well.
Chris, repeat that again. You did say 50 years, not 15, right?
Yes, ma'am. For a full well replacement. So we do not expect to replace wells every 15 years.
So the well 2 was at
correct
50-ish year mark.
Correct.
And honestly, well 2 had to be relocated.
Yeah. And it was a small well. I mean, the other thing is it was a 300 gallon a minute well, and so it was replaced with a 500 gallon a minute well. So you increase its capacity along with, fixing an asset that was giving you issues.
So Mike, who does our general maintenance survey?
General maintenance is done by Hayes.
Yeah, but the survey is talking about it. Yeah.
It is, so the name of the company is GM Services.
Yes, GM Services. And it's done every 6 months.
They just did it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so they're catching the spring and post-summer and pre-summer, because we'll have, again, we expect changes in your capacities with your aquifer levels. After the summer, it will go down. We want to see that rebound in the report they just did.
And with those reports, those biannuals, they go to for review.
Hayes, WJ, and Public Works, all 3 of us. It's one of the items, so we have a bi-weekly operations call. It's one of the items that when it comes up, we review the results, talk about if there's any action to come from it.
And I'm assuming we trend those?
Yes, and they do as well. So they have 6-7 year running average and graph on each one, so you can see the trends of levels, capacities, et cetera.
Yep, thank you.
And if Hayes is no longer here tomorrow, GM Services still is that person, and that we still have the historicals? Okay, just making sure.
Okay. All right. So the next sections are a lot of the same. So I'm not going to go into detail on water plant 3. On your, one thing I will note on water plant 3, just because it has been an item that we've discussed about, and if I don't mention it, Stan, you will ask me. The liquid bleach is on the plan for water plant 3. That's a 2028 slated project as of this time. Other thing different about water plant 3 is you do have 2 generators on that site, so there's a little bit more to take care of. That is because there's 2 different electrical services to the components of the plant. And you also have the cooling towers at that site to treat the water from the Catahoula. So those transfer plates need to be cleaned and replaced every 5 to 10 years, depending on what it is. So we have coming up this year, they're working through that as we speak. And then you have on here water plant number 4. Again, a lot of that is the new. There's not a lot of expected repairs and maintenance other than some minor recoatings. That one, again, it falls off the list on when it's needed, but that is a much more expensive recoating of the elevated tank. Obviously, it's elevated. There's a lot more to it. A lot more equipment and gear in order to get that done. It's also why we try to go as simple as possible with those designs and the paint schemes on those tanks, because the more you have on it, the more stuff that's going to run and fade versus something that's simple and doesn't require a lot of maintenance. Okay. So you flip over to the next page. The top of this one says water system, water distribution system. And so these are all your water line related projects. So you have your interconnect with Stanley Lake. That one likely will move forward. We're working with the developer because that project is slowly moving forward. They've submitted plans to us. You have the one in 2026 is the one we talked about. That's the BCS funded project, that 901 that's in red on your sheets. And the other items down here are upsizings, water line replacements, et cetera, just to, one, take care of older pipes and continue connections as development occurs. So one of the big things with these is as you're working down 149 with development, there'll need to be upsizings of water lines to go down 149, and so those are included in here. Again, really development driven, but to be determined.
Yeah, it looks like that's gonna be really busy between 2028 and 2031.
Correct. There's a lot of those that kind of also, we're trying to, it's one of those based on needs. So the downtown related items, depends how downtown develops. And as those plans continue to change, that scope continues to change, but at least we have a placeholder in here.
So we need the developer that bought the block, when he wants to do, we can take advantage of the earth being pulled.
Correct, correct. And I mean, there's likely, just from upsizing, because a lot of the water lines downtown are either small or unknown upsizes. It's just not good records, but it's, as it continues to redevelop, just realigning, resizing those, right-sizing those facilities so they're there for the future. All right. Now we're down to your wastewater plant section. So your Town Creek and your Stewart Creek, again, big ticket items. You have your expansion project that's ongoing, and then followed by a next round of expansion in 2029. And so that's your next kind of biggest project that's upcoming based on the growth. You're looking at another expansion. Now, one thing to note, it's noted in the footnotes, is it's still to be determined if that happens at Town Creek or Stewart Creek. Both permits are, one permit's in place, the other one should be done here in the next few months to have that flexibility to go there either facility based on where the growth occurs. We're trying to reduce the amount that we're pumping sewer around the city. So the more growth we have on the west side of town, we will recommend expanding this facility first. more growth we have on the east side of town, we recommend expanding that facility first and balancing out. So there's other things that we, kind of tools in the toolbox that we have with some lift stations and force mains and reroutes to be able to balance out those flows, but too early to tell right now which one is gonna be the recommended path. But both of them are in here in case it's needed. Then you get down, so that covers your wastewater plants. Next item down is your on-site lift stations. This is a large section because you have a lot of lift stations. So it's a lot of numbers on a page. Biggest thing to note, I'll summarize it all in one. Your lift stations are doing good. Your biggest problem was lift station number 5, which is what's getting replaced, relocated by TriPoint. Your next oldest lift stations are number 3 and number 4. One is brand new, that's at the Stewart Creek. Number 2 is at the Town Creek wastewater plant. That's getting replaced with the Town Creek project. That'll be brand new. Lift station 3 is your lift station by MES over here across from the transportation center on 149.
You said, I'm sorry, you said number, oh, never mind.
No, you're good.
So number 4 is the oldest or number 5? Number 4 says 1977, that's the oldest?
Correct. Number 4 is, based on our records, the oldest. Number 5 is shortly thereafter.
It's just old, not oldest. Okay.
But number 5 is getting replaced. Number 4 doesn't serve a whole lot. So number 4 is the one located right here off of Old Plantersville, right at the bend near, I just forgot the cross street. There's a wooden fence right on the bend down here in Old Plantersville. It only really serves this small section of the downtown area. It's one of the lift stations that it does need ultimately some work. It's operating just fine, but it is a different style lift station than the rest that we ultimately want to get rid of. As a wet well and a dry well, where all the rest are submersible lift stations.
So with, to that point, my question is, how many of these lift stations have interchangeable pumps?
So every time that a pump goes out, we are putting them in, our Hayes and Public Works are pushing to have like-size pumps, makes and models put in as they can. So they all are designed with redundancy, so you're designed to have one pump out of service, but also as pumps go out, Public Works has brought to the city over the past is, here's recommended to replace in kind is X amount. If we want to upgrade to Flight, which is a higher, more reliable pump, they brought that to the city. Most of the times that has been approved. And so we're replacing them as we go. The new lift stations going in are all going in with the Flight pumps. So we're all working on the same style of pumps that Public Works is in the operators.
Critical spares, Mike?
No, but we have rentals available. So the good thing about lift stations is you don't really size them to where or you don't build them to where they're all the same so you can interchange them because of pump flows. You know,
Right.
Everyone has to be a little different. But one of the good things about the flights in particular is the availability to get a rental immediately. So if one goes out, we can get a rental in usually the same day. So that's usually not an issue.
Okay.
A couple of the other things, just to know in the lift station section, one of the things that we're able to do, so with lift station number 5 currently has a generator. It is old, but it's still operational. So the plan is we're gonna, with this project, the contractors, that becomes property of the city. We're gonna install it at lift station 9 to go in and get the transfer switch all new, and at least get some more life out of it. 9 is on the north side of the bridge on Buffalo Springs. So 10 is getting a generator right now through Taylor Morrison, that project. 9 is on the north side, so we'll get both of those generators. So that is but in your budget. And then one other thing to note about generators is, or excuse me, not generators, lift stations. So all your new lift stations going in by these developers are being installed with generators up front, with the pumps that you want up front, with the controls that are the city's preference. So we're not, these older lift stations, you're going back, we're adding some generators, we're changing out control panels, we're doing those things. Anything that's been recent and anything new, you're getting the controls and the type of pumps and the generators that
And the lifespan of these lift stations? Until
Those
they
are
give out,
maintained.
it could be 10 years, it could be 110 years.
I mean, yeah, the lift stations, so what's in this plan is to periodically go through and inspect and then do some rehabilitation of the piping and the wet well. I mean, they're concrete structures, so they're concrete structures in sewer, there's a lot of gases, it eats away at the concrete. So we go through and we recommend installing an epoxy coating to give it a protection from it. And so that's what's in this plan. If you see wet well rehab, that's a lot of those is going in and installing or reinstalling those coatings as they
Is that
wear
something
out.
you do, or is Hayes does that? Is that the
No, it's a-
televising type
it's a
stuff?
subcontract.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And those are all emaciator pumps?
They're all what?
Emaciator pumps to grind as they pump?
Most of them, yeah. That's what we're switching to. And even specifically, the style that we like to go with has an impeller in it that will actually lift up before it starts. So the towels, rags, whatever, it will chew them up, so.
I gotta ask one of my main questions. Okay, looking at the map, I see lift station 9 and 10, they look like they're near each other.
Yes, they are.
They have 2 lift stations in the same vicinity instead of one, maybe two.
You want the short answer or the long answer? Short answer, ideal, that is not ideal. Long answer is there's a creek in between, and there was an original design that it would go under the creek. That wasn't constructed, we ended up with 2. Anywhere that we can consolidate lift stations, we try to. Pulte is one of those examples, the lift station that's there. The intent was to take it by gravity into Waterstone. That easement, Pulte was not able to obtain that easement, and so they had to install that lift station. So anytime that we can consolidate, like we're getting rid of lift station 12 and
Did Waterstone POA not approve that, or the developer who?
the property owner,
Property owner.
correct.
So on all these lift stations, there's a specific maintenance
Yes.
that's done on all of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all of the facilities, so your water plants, your wastewater plants, and all your lift stations have a specific PM program that Hayes and Public Works follows to keep them running. Okay. Flipping on to the next page, and we're getting close. So the next section is your sanitary sewer system. Again, the ones that are in red on your sheet are the already funded projects or are in a development agreement if not funded projects. Your next kind of thing that's coming up that would be a city-led directive is the sanitary sewer cleaning and televising of this portion of what's serving Lift Station 10 and Lone Star Parkway. Again, so kind of we talked about what we've already done. You've already looked at all of the downtown area, all the old lines in the city. This is now going back and looking at the Lift Station 10 trunk line. It is what comes from Buffalo Springs, runs down Town Creek Crossing to that lift station. Serves a lot. We recommend putting eyes on it sooner rather than later, just to make sure that there's no issues. Same thing with the Lone Star Parkway sewer line that works its way around the city. There's right now, all the flow through the city is going through there, minus what's downstream. So again, putting eyes on it, spending a little bit of money, making sure there's no issues before it becomes an issue. But again, you're not having historical issues of backups or anything like that, or failures, or everything's operating well.
That main line that you just referenced, we replaced that recently.
So the line that was replaced recently was the main line that runs down this street through Lone Star Estates to Lift Station 2. So that line was replaced and upsized in the past 2 years. Still under warranty. And then this line was installed with the latter sections of Buffalo Springs. So they're not terribly old, but again, they're just critical. No, it's all plastic pipe.
They've been put in the last 10 years.
Right, they're all plastic pipe. It's just, again, there's a lot putting eyes
That
on it.
was my main concern, as long
Yeah.
as it's not like 20 years old, clay pipe, galvanized.
No, anything like that has already been inspected, the repairs have been made. We'll eventually circle back, and that's what this downtown phase 2 is. So looking at that again in 29, just kind of re-televising, because things pop up. Pipe's not getting any newer, but that's what that next piece is here. One other one, this kind of goes to your point earlier, Casey, the lift station number 3, force main reroute. That is that project that is a if needed. And what it does, if we can take lift station 3 and go directly to Stewart Creek versus Town Creek. And so we have both of those options depending on how development occurs to be able to send that flow. So it's on here, but again, it's to be determined if or when that will be done. Next section down is your drainage system. There's a whole lot less to do here because again, y'all have not been taking on detention pond responsibilities or anything like that from developers. They are maintaining those. So we have in here some budget for condition assessment. So that's doing some spot inspections, television, just make sure pipes, kind of like we had on Flagship, which I'll get to in a second, that those things aren't happening. Ditch regrading, this is just a catch-all number for miscellaneous ditch repairs. This just occurred, the 25,026, that's been completed. That was over off of Anna Springs and in that area.
Yeah, so when we get a moment, can we talk about that?
Sure.
I've had some,
Well, we're gonna get talked about tomorrow, they're all gonna be here.
yeah, well, next Tuesday, yeah, they're irate. So, okay,
Or yeah, next Tuesday.
yeah, okay.
I will get with you after.
Casey scared me.
Yeah, I misspoke, it's next week, but they're all gonna be here.
Yeah,
They pulled me out of my house today.
yeah, I got, yeah.
They drug me out of my house today.
Yeah,
to
go look at it.
Where it's all collapsing and it's starting to undercut the sidewalk already.
Yep.
After a 1-inch rain.
Yeah, it's a mess.
We'll take a look. And then the last sections, there's really nothing else in this one, is transportation. So this is where a lot of the named projects, I would say, are the larger ones. So complete repaving of Ples Morgan, which is, in need of repair. Buffalo Springs, making all of that concrete over those next 2 projects from what BCS is already doing, which is in red, the next item. The downtown project, now just know that this includes all of those costs, so water, sewer, drainage, and it's an MEDC project. So we can take this off of the list, just for totality's sake of what's going on, it is still on here. The next 3, these Westway extensions. So if you go to exhibit, D, thank you, sir. You go to Exhibit D of your packet. So this is all roadway related. It's not every single thing that would get rehabbed, because that would be everything. But what is these major projects, new projects, et cetera, and mainly the new ones. So just to kind of catch everyone up. So if you look at, obviously, Lone Star Parkway, starting on the east side of town at Buffalo Springs, that area in blue is what the county is currently working on, that's in design. The area, if you go south on Buffalo Springs, the area in blue there, CV Stewart and Buffalo Springs is what's being done by BCS. Moving over to the west side of the city, starting with the blue area that's being done by Tri-Point. Then we get to kind of these proposed projects, which is what's in orange on either side of the Tri-Point project, and then what's called the Montgomery Crossing project. So the thought process here on why these are on your list. So if Tri-Point completes the section in blue, there is a relatively small jog to get to Lone Star Parkway, which again, if this is looking at connectivity and also looking at potential economic development, having that road would be there if you so choose. Again, it's not a requirement, but we want it on the list as potential roadway projects the city could undertake that would make sense. It's not, a road to nowhere. It is connecting pieces of road that are being put in by the
So
developer.
what you're saying is that's not gonna be completed, so there's an option for the city to complete it, to get.
Exactly. If the city decides that it's in their best interest from economic development, traffic and transportation, et cetera, to do so. But it's not one of those triggering events the city has to do this. Again, like the other portion of that road, if that property develops that it's on, that would be part of the development of that property. And it's the same thing working south, so just broken up into 3 sections, which is why it's on there 3 times. So you have south of 105 connecting to what Montgomery Crossing is going to do. That item would include kind of reworking those intersections, so you see a couple orange lines in that area. So this is from the county's thoroughfare plan and the city's plan of straightening that out, making it a signalized intersection at Westway, and having it run itself through, and then ultimately making its way to 149. So if you're kind of following that line all the way
That's
through.
coming from Westway, is that where Lone Star Signs is? What's that white thing right there?
That is there are
Sheds?
the sheds.
Okay, so if you go past the sheds.
It is just immediately to the east of that is where it would generally line up.
And then is this thoroughfare above Peel Junction, is that through the Stowe's property?
That is correct. And that section in blue is part of the development agreement with Montgomery Crossing.
Okay, and then the one that's in the southern part of that straight across, is that the Mabry property?
That is correct.
Okay. Which one? So right above Peel Junction, that turquoise is the Mabry, and then to the left of that, when it starts to go up, that's Stowe.
And the alignment obviously is subject to change, especially on that 149 to Old Plantersville section. The development of the neighboring property on the Randalls will play into that on where they align their roads. But
Right.
again, linear foot gives you about the same.
Any movement on that? Now that they're out of our ETJ, they don't have to talk to us about it, but.
That portion still is in the city limits, but we have not had any recent conversations.
I thought they got out all the way up to 105.
No. So,
Okay, good.
so everything that's in, you are correct, they got out of the ETJ, but
Yes.
they were not able to de-annex from the city
Good,
limits.
okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
The other thing to note, the old Plantersville Road improvements, that blue line that goes all the way from right out here to Old Dobbin Plantersville, that is actually going to continue all the way to 105. So the county, that's part of the county's project, is to do that entire loop from 105 to 105. That was a recent.
So that dog leg out, or whatever that kick out is.
Correct. That's by the, it's being done by the county.
So you got predictions from the county when they're gonna do, basically tie into Old Plantersville Road to 2054?
Oh, that's what he was saying over here, I think that's.
Here.
You mean, yeah, continuing it down, not anything in concrete that we've had that discussion on.
Here, they do it over here, yeah. That's, yeah.
We've seen concepts of Old Plantersville Road kind of continuing to follow the tracks and then crossing near the intersection of 149 and 105 because the thought is that that's going to need to be an elevated crossing. Railroad's not going to allow an at-grade crossing, and if we're already elevated, might as well cover 149 as well. So that moving south. But as far as the timeline, we have not heard that from the county on what that is. I know the county is still working to get TxDOT to take over more roads. So I'm sure that's part of it. Other things in the roadway section. So we talked about the Westway projects, flagship phase 2. This is, again, it's holding up, but if you remember, we replaced the storm sewer, replaced the pavement. So this is just that finish up project. Klepper repaving, again, that's going to be very dependent on overall downtown redevelopment and how that occurs, the timing, scope, et cetera, of that. Shepherd Street, that project is in red because it is going to be done by Parkside Caroline Court. That was part of their agreements to, right now, if you remember, it gets narrow at 105 to widen that out and make it concrete. And then your last two items on here are more of your catch-all. So your general road rehab. So this is, we took all your linear foot of roads downtown. So what would it cost to rehab them all and divide that out over the 15 years?
Do we need to buckle up to see that number?
No,
No, $250 a year.
Oh,
So that's in addition to your street fund that you already have, which is miscellaneous repairs and improvements that Mike's undertakes. So putting that additional amount to kind of systematically go through, and it could be that, so on the road specifically, Mike is going through and using the software to do a new evaluation of the roads to prioritize them. And then we will refine this plan and say, okay, we recommend let's do 500 this year and let's skip a year and then do 300, or we'll revise it. This just kind of gets us to catch all for everything. And as that evaluation comes in, that'll be part of your annual budget process, as we'll talk about, all right, let's focus on these streets, here's the dollar amount, and that would be a full mill and repave those roads.
so is general road rehab for $250,000, is that just filling potholes, or is that actually pulling it up and putting remilling and all that?
It's remilling and everything.
Okay.
250?
Yeah, small sections, again.
Right.
so
Small sections.
This is going in small sections, because,
But just,
Small sections, but with the hope that we can utilize our interlocal agreement with
sure,
precinct 1, because the dollars go a lot further.
yep.
So Mike, a few years ago, we increased your road budget, but then I believe we cut it back down because we just didn't use that much for what you guys used it.
Well, a couple of years ago, we had to rob it for a couple of projects, the emergency projects. This year, we do have the full 250. We've only utilized a little bit of.
Yeah, okay. But you would need an additional 250 above that 250?
correct. So you still have the every other road, but start systematically going through and true milling to repaving. And again, I don't expect it to be a clean 250 each year, but again, from a budgetary number. And then the last item on here is the alternate transportation improvements. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when we get to the budget itself, we'll look at these projects and we'll schedule the specific road that's gonna be worked on, so that money will really be allocated and he'll be, directed to do it. That way it's getting done, because
Right.
that's what we need, that's what hasn't been done in the past, but you haven't had the money to do so, as you started growing. So this will create a ongoing road maintenance and repair list.
Not just casting a net to what if
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, we'll designate them, based on this each year. That way we have a real project to move forward with. And a real dollar. I mean, one year it might not be a lot of money, and then the next year, we may need more. Those things will happen in budget, but.
Good.
And then the last item on this list is alternate improvements. So these are things, so a couple of reasons we have this on here. One, is there's a bunch of grants that come out for alternate improvements. Helps to be planning for some of those costs. Some are cost share, some are full grants. So we're working on those applications, but also plugging them in here. These aren't allocated to a specific project at this time, but it would be things like sidewalks, trails, bike lanes, anything but driving on the road with a car. So.
Can I ask a question about
I'll give
that?
you some.
Sure.
What's the scope on that? Is that widen, wasn't it widening it? Or?
So Klepper itself, it needs a lot.
Yeah.
So the scope that we are envisioning is
And on Clipper.
yeah. Tear it down, take it down to the base, rebuild it, widen it. It'll take a little bit of finagling to see from a right-of-way standpoint if we can stay with open ditch versus storm sewer, but it's all kind of part of it. So what's in here is $1.5 million for that roadway, but again, I think with the downtown redevelopment projects and potential plans, that will dictate timing, cost share, scope of those improvements. But it's definitely a road that needs improvement.
So you are going all the way, the full length of Klepper?
That's correct.
And you, today, did you say that was
What year is
two?
that?
Well, it depends on
We
when the
have
development's.
first phase of it 29 and a second phase of it in 32.
You'll be gone.
You'll be gone, Casey.
I probably will.
And then you put some
Because the
kind of-
soil is so bad.
Just did it towards the
I'm just saying.
Another question. The streets around June's walk, is he, have we talked to him about, I mean, he comes in, he's gonna probably want to improve those streets. John Butler, Caroline, is he already planning? Make sure the EDC's on
Parking
top of
and
that.
streets and-
If he comes in and wants to rip that stuff out, we also want to do water.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Too,
Yep.
so that's all planned.
It's all.
100%. Kind of as that plan develops, it's also, we were talking about this earlier, potential additional right of way. And depending on how he lays it out, having, if it's, flagship gets extended north, that's a main corridor. Now we're looking at signals, improving that, improving Klepper, and then realigning the water lines and the side streets.
So is that, can you share, is he doing?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Hasn't been determined.
I'm trying to think like
Yeah.
EDC.
We'll just see. We'll ask him for 100% he does it.
What should we be preparing for in case we need to partner?
Right.
So Ryan, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, we seen his first plan, his preliminary plan. It was a significant widening of roads, adding, parallel parking. And he was giving up portions of his lots to do that, so.
Now his plan's kind of shifted. Instead of going, I think he's gonna try to go north from there. I think he's now headed out east from there. But I think too, since this is one in our historic district, part of our heartbeat, I think, and he lives here, so he wants to make it a good product too. And he's been very amenable to.
Demonstrated that he makes a good product.
Yes,
I
he
think
does.
if, I was talking to Brent about this, like it'd be good to have those ideas presented at some point before he starts.
Well, he's gotta acquire all the property he wants first, and then he's gonna, okay, now this is what I can do.
Yeah, because he's gotta go,
It's gonna
once he gets
freak
his,
people out.
he's gotta go get his funding.
Well, because he's gotta go pay for all the engineers, so he already, the renderings he showed, he paid for all of that, and now that's totally changed. So now he's kicking out east, which is fine, because it expands our downtown footprint, which then he's gonna bring in more tax base too and his idea is mom and pop and not national brands on all that, which I'm thrilled about. But at the same time, what does that look like? I know partnership was one of the words he said. Yes, we're open to that, but what does that look like? We don't know. We don't know what the product looks like yet.
Well, and really, I mean, you still need to go, there's a whole, once the scope of it is determined, the development, feasibility of what is it gonna take for water, sewer, drainage, roads, and then a development agreement that's gonna have.
Before he's in them,
Yeah.
When we get our new MEDC director, that'd be a nice thing for her to keep, work with him on and have him, maybe bring him to MEDC when he's, ready to prep everybody with the plan to see where MEDC can do it,
By that time, y'all are gonna be so rich.
We're gonna cut our budget half again.
Easy killer, easy killer.
So give me no ideas, right?
You know what, is that, you should get over that, cutting that budget thing, you see.
We're gonna do CCPD 2.0.
He's been very good about communication this far. And he even got the plans for what we're doing on McGowan, and he's looking at that and, the parking and, of course, there's probably a 380 agreement in this. And so, yeah, it has to be a
He's not flying by
relationship.
night, and he's not gonna come and build and leave, we know that. And he's gonna take his names on it, and he lives here, so I think that's.
We might need to get McCown in front of them early, too. I know we talked about just holding off on that, but I don't know, just
You've seen
being
it?
the south side of McCown Street.
He's seen it.
We've got it all tied in now.
Yeah.
So hopefully when we bid it, it's one project.
All the way down to 105?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna come out around $2 million. That's where we're at.
Total from college to?
Yep.
So last
Good job.
last sheet talks about where money's coming from. So impact fees, this is the most recent projections of where you stand right now. This only includes active developments, so nothing that is inactive. This includes Montgomery Crossing, it's not on this list, because there's no movement right now. So this is only things that we are pretty sure we can count on. So again, assuming you spent none, which we know we will spend some, you're looking at having roughly almost $8 million in impact fees collected by 2029, into 29. you currently are sitting on a balance, I don't know as of date, but approximately $2 million in your, that you have sitting in impact fees.
63.
And that could only go to infrastructure
Only going to expansion of infrastructure.
expansion.
Right, but your expansion projects, account for, outside of what's already ongoing, $40 million of that plan. So there's plenty of projects. And just a reminder on impact fees, I know we just talked about them, the state passed new laws. So you updated your impact fees right at the end of August of last year. That is the last time that you'll be able to for 3 years because of the new state law that was passed.
Yeah. So, but the 10 million that we have sitting is already accounted for. We've already spent it on a lot of our projects, so.
So the way that kind of, and I'm going to get into Mary Ann's territory, and she'll gladly correct me if I'm wrong. We have the ability to use impact fees to pay for debt. And so some of the debt we recently issued, I believe, is the intent. So one, it's revenue supported, so you did the water and sewer fees increase to support that revenue. You also are able to apply your impact fees toward debt payments if needed. But right now, water and sewer rates are continuing to increase. We're getting to that time of year. Your rate increase has been now in effect for 4 months. But that is the intent. So it is safe to say there are no projects that are specifically said, okay, this water line is going to be paid out of the impact fees in whole.
Right.
So Mary Ann, just, you don't have to be exact, but can you give me a rough estimate of what we currently dump to capital projects like this?
Bless you.
What we what? I'm sorry?
Currently putting into capital projects?
So in this year's budget, we went into it with the idea that we were still using the certificate of obligation 24 money. We were using ARPA funds for these projects. We had a very small amount that we were requiring our own funds for in this year. I can't give you a number off the top of my head, but I know it was like very, very little because this year we had built out a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I'm super thankful to have Brent here to understand moving forward in this capital projects and how we need to look at it. Mm-hmm. So we will be looking at that differently this year for budget, but I don't, we were doing $200,000 a year from EDC that went into that capital project. That did not happen this year because those funds were being used for downtown development directly. So yeah, there wasn't a dire need for additional capital funding this year based on how we structured it for this year.
I think when they send you that supplemental, that'll answer some of your questions because you can see exactly city versus developer versus impact fees. That'll help.
Correct.
Look at those things.
Yeah, we'll send that out. We'll also send the updated summary of all the work completed over the past 5 years.
So,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, well, the question is for 2026, right, we've got this 41 laid out here.
Correct.
And that's all accounted for, or allocated, right?
Correct.
100% is funded. But then 2027, 2028, only portions of that are allocated out of the money that we just got.
CO bonds.
Yeah.
Correct.
So only portions of the 26 through about 29, right? 29 is basically the finish up of our big water project and sewer project, right? That we borrowed that money for.
So all of those costs are in '26. So this is not a cash flow. This is when we entered into a construction contract in '26. All those costs are in this sheet in '26.
So 100% of all of the water tower, everything's in 26?
Correct.
Good.
So what is the 29?
So the big item in '29 is your next phase of the wastewater treatment plant. And that is when we'll start, as development
And that's
continues.
whether or not we need it, right?
Correct. Likelihood is
Placeholder.
it's going to be needed, it's depending on where.
Right.
And once we get the permit limits for each, we'll know better on where that goes. But likelihood is that one is going to be needed.
Okay, pretty sure.
So,
The other big item in '29 that's pushing the number up is you have a couple of those roadway projects. You have Ples Morgan, so, excuse me, '28, you have Buffalo Springs for $2 million. And then '29, you have Ples Morgan, and Klepper. So those are all big numbers that's leading to that one. But again, the biggest is the sewer plant.
so hypothetically, about 4.2 a year. I have to inject doing this.
But when you have what's coming online with HEB, Texas Roadhouse, Academy, potentially Lowe's, all of that, I think that's gonna help fill that, big that gap.
Well, it will, but that's counting chickens, they ain't hatched, they ain't laid no eggs yet.
Yeah, well,
Well, it's also important to remember that the timing of that sewer plant, to your point, is those developments going forward. So if, I don't want to pick on one person, developer X
If they kill the chicken,
doesn't go forward,
kill the chicken.
if they kill
the
the
plant will
chicken,
also
we won't get done.
continue to push.
Okay, we can be that mobile, we can be that flexible.
Well, I mean, that's why you're doing the long-term lead items first. So you're doing the permits, getting those out of the way, and then, we would recommend, once we have a path on this plant versus this plant, go ahead getting design complete, and then putting it on hold for construction until that time comes. So you're reducing that lead time as much as possible.
Now, you, and Mike, you may have too, and you have too, is very, okay, let me just go to everybody in this room, that has been part of other cities' government. From the seat that I sit in, we've looked really responsible, we're doing a really good job, and this looks great for what our future looks like in today. Y'all have seen other cities. What does that look like to you? Does this look like we're in a good spot? Are we chasing our tail, or how you think this looks? Like, are we in a healthy spot versus what you've seen in other cities?
No, so
That's not a trick question.
Yeah, and I know, and so the way that I would answer that is, the city of Montgomery has been on a build it as it comes time. Not build it way in advance and wait for it to show up, not get way out ahead, but stay kind of tight just in time, which, is harder to do because you're fighting with all kinds of different forces, but that's kind of the path that we've been on. And you're in a good spot with the big projects that you have. Your water plant improvements, that takes you from 2,500 connections and 700,000 gallons a day today to 5,000 connections and 1.2 million gallons a day of paper capacity once that project is complete. If everything builds out in the city and nothing else new starts, you're under that number, so you're covered. Your sewer plant, same thing, is you're bumping it way up to get you further down the line. Now, there is more that needs to be done, but those are done in phases on a purpose. But again, those projects are funded, those projects are wrapping up design, and, the permits are in place to be able to do those. So you're not,
We're not behind, but we're just far enough ahead.
Right, you're not
to be
behind.
prepared, not.
right.
TCEQ requires you to start planning a new sewer plant at 75% capacity, but we're at 50.
Yeah,
Right.
and I know that we've been having that discussion since I've been here. So I know that there's been eyes on it, and it's been a topic of discussion, especially in these kind of conversations and these kind of meetings.
I mean, just the fact that we're having conversations now, we're not, hey, we have to go replace 30,000 feet of pipe because it's all falling apart and breaking.
Right.
We're talking about, hey, how do we go and let's improve and let's tweak? We're not having, and I kind of started out with this, is you're not having system issues. Yes, things break. They're always going to break, but you're not having constant outages or backups or issues that are occurring that's interrupting services for any extended amount of time. So,
Mike, are you aware of sewer running onto private pastures or pasture all the time? Okay.
Maybe at that.
Where's that at?
I believe it's Ms. Stewart's property, if I'm understanding.
Oh,
From like an
years ago, we had an issue.
But it's been fixed for like 4 years. Okay, sorry.
just from I'm more public than I don't see the finances, but from an outsider's perspective, you see Conroe do a moratorium, you see Victoria do a moratorium, and then you see Montgomery experience the same type of growth. I think that just is a concern probably for the general public. And I guess it's not really a money standpoint total, it's a cash flow issue. If the growth is so expansive, you can't keep up all the impact fees, but it seems like there's a plan for that. Yeah.
Ryan, neither one of those cities collect impact fees, by the way. Neither one of them do. They asked me how we've done it.
But I mean, I guess the impact fees,
They haven't-
there's a delay as far as like how the.
It is.
And as far as designing a wastewater treatment, it takes a little bit of time, so just making sure you're staying that one
Correct.
step ahead, making sure you have the cash flow.
And one thing on the impact fees that the city has done as of recent is in development agreements, so the way that the ordinance is written is they're due at connection, so it's just in time. Your development agreements, you're having those due at plating, so it's in advance. So you're able to get that cash in sooner versus wait. How it is written is that each individual home pays their impact fees when they connect. So there is no an infusion of cash that we can plan, it's just one by one. And so with the development agreements you've entered into that has them funding those at plating, that takes all that up front. So it helps with the numbers and the timing.
It's important as we move forward, and like we are, looking at roads, looking at old infrastructure, because if you only look at the new stuff and you forget about the old stuff, that'll come back and get you too, so
Yeah,
that's why
and I
it's
think that's what happened.
it's a dance a little bit, because as you're a small city, you don't have a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you're growing, you don't have a lot of money yet, and so, you're trying to balance that, and it's tricky, it is.
And we have to kind of hedge on futures, but not everything on futures, right?
No.
I think that we're doing.
I mean, you're at what we calculated a 60%
Yes.
build out already.
Yeah.
So, our guesstimates are pretty good right now,
Yeah.
because we kind of know where we're going. I mean, annexation and a few other things will maybe add to it at some point, maybe a little more industry, but overall you can project pretty cleanly where it's going.
Very good. So, I just have one request, Chris, is that you save this, wherever you save things, as a master to work off of.
Yeah,
So if we make any edits or anything, we're always referencing what's ever.
For sure.
Master.
for sure.
So hypothetically, the KOA, they're in the Stanley Mud.
Correct.
But they want to be in the city. Could we use their infrastructure they have, or would that have to all be new infrastructure that they put in? And is there a possibility that we could tie into it?
So their short answer is yes.
Okay.
As public entities, you can enter into agreements to provide services or purchase services from others. So you could purchase, sewer plant capacity, where I'm not saying that this makes sense, but hey, in order to serve this site, we're going to purchase 50,000 gallons a day in sewer plant. They're going to charge us per month. We're going to bill that to the customer and provide that capacity. Same thing with water. You could provide that service, interconnects, et cetera. So yes, you can enter into, we have, not all public entities have their own water and sewer. So you can have agreements.
Does that make it messy?
I would say it adds a layer of complication, but it's not something that's abnormal.
So then so let's just say that the developer decides to pay for 50,000 gallons. Does that mean the developer has a vote? Because I know they vote on their boards for the MUDs.
No, because in order to vote, you have to be a resident,
Okay, all right.
so.
Maybe touch on the interlocal agreement about the rest of the road up there.
So on
Yes. No.
Old Plantersville,
Old Plantersville.
so
School portion.
the latest on the Old Plantersville, Old Dobbin Plantersville improvements. So I mentioned that the county, if you look on Exhibit D, you can see the blue. So our original understanding of the county's scope of the improvements project was from Old Dobbin Plantersville east across the railroad tracks to 105, improving all the way outside of City Hall. They are also, what they told us at the meeting a couple weeks ago, they are also going to improve again Old Dobbin Plantersville from 105 to Old Plantersville. So just across, so by the high school. They're going to improve that road again. And they want the city to take it over. So
I'm sure.
that's part of, they are supposed to be drafting an interlocal agreement that says, yes.
They're gonna approve it and then hand it over.
Yeah, but if they improve it like they built the original Lone Star, we don't want it.
Right.
They didn't do
Well,
Lone Star.
And what they said in that meeting is they just recently did that and it turned out not good. So they're gonna make it right and then give it to them.
I mean, they have a good history of just throwing some asphalt on the ground and calling it road.
It sounds like they're gonna.
So, and some of the terms that we discussed as part of that was, okay, you know, we will, one, we have to see the agreement, but two, city needs to review the plans and specs. City needs to also have a chance to accept it as well. So they have to say, hey, we put eyes on it, as well as city has to take action to accept the infrastructure. And what they were talking about preliminarily is that it would be accepted by the city when the project is complete, and they would assign all the bonds and insurance over to the city to call the contractor on warranty related items. So we still get the 1-year
And
warranty.
she sent out a draft of that already.
Okay, perfect.
I can't even tell by the map if that's part of our city or not. That old-
It is right, so the city limits line is the property line of the high school. So that road is not in it. So that's part of, one of the provisions of the agreement is a annexation of those roadways into the city limits. So Chief's luck, but city can enforce all ordinances on it.
So are you going to, I mean, who looks at the specs from the county?
The way it's written is they'll provide a blanket to the city that they'll provide, and the city has to approve the plans and specs.
Because they did try to have us take Lone Star several times.
How many times?
Several times, and we don't want it. If that, what it is, if they redo it, we will.
Right. Well, and also Lone Star had a lot of issues and has had a lot of issues for a long time. And when we had a $3 million budget, we really couldn't afford to do it. But now, with them doing the $100 million bond on it, I know they're gonna wanna give it to us.
So we have a new commissioners.
All right, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sorry, you do?
Thanks to Zach and Jensen for getting over.
Well done, Zach. Good job. Stand up. Good job. Thank you, Jensen, wherever you are today. No, that was good. That was straightforward, and I feel like we talk about this at every meeting, but this was, learn some things, right? Which is great, and that's,
Try to put it all together, because there's a
we
lot
didn't
of.
learn 911 things, we learned good things, so thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Closing agenda, council inquiry, anything on a future, did you get everything satisfied? I think you wanted to.
Yep, this is what I was looking
Okay,
for.
perfect. Then items number 7, items to consider for placement for our council inquiry. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Mr. Donaldson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. 7:26, we will adjourn. Great job.
No, just some grass.
Fancy here. Take the Ducky. Ducky good. Take the pizza box.
Yes. So.
Yeah, that's a struggle.
Block it.
Yeah.